So he's a mystery box because there's a chance you put this guy at actual defensive end at 5 tech, just let him rush the passer. And he's that double-digit sack guy that even Aidan Hutchinson and Kayvon Thibodeaux aren't. Like Thibodeaux, Hutchinson, they're good prospects. They're not double-digit sack guys. Walker might be that.
We've got the New York Giants taking Travon Walker, the edge rusher out of Georgia. I love this. Okay, so Travon Walker has had this rise, and you two both have been saying how good Travon Walker is for a while. Dane Brugler at The Athletic this week said Travon Walker could potentially go number 1 overall. And I'm curious, do you guys think 3 years from now, Travon Walker might be like the best pass rusher in this class? Like, is it crazy? Is he that good? Because I haven't thought of him as that good before, and it kind of took me aback.
Well,
yeah.
Ben, you say this one.
So, Peter Griffin mystery box axiom. All right, Travon Walker.
Can you explain this one again for the people who haven't seen
the show's Family Guy? I can't pretend to have watched it, but there's a very famous GIF or clip from it where
you haven't watched it.
I haven't seen it. That's why I'm saying next. I don't want to I'm pretty sure the guy's named Peter Griffin, but there's no real way of knowing.
We're making him explain to us.
But anyway,
Family Guy.
he and his wife Lois are sitting at a table and they're being offered by some man who has things to offer. I don't know why, it's like Santa or something. There's like, you guys can have a boat. Like, you guys have won a boat. And they're like, wow, boat is crazy. And then he goes, or you could get the mystery box. And he just puts like a very regular size, like you could put a sweater in this box for Christmas. It's a regular size box with a boat in front of Peter. And he's like, or the mystery box. And Lois is like, Peter, don't be an idiot. We're taking the boat. And Peter goes, now, the boat is a boat, but a mystery box could be anything. It could even be a boat. And that logic explains 9 out of 10 ridiculous draft decisions in human history, right? A mystery box could be anything, it could be a boat. Travon Walker is a mystery box, right? He's spent fewer than 1,000 total career snaps lined up as an actual true edge rusher. I remember Austin Gale PFF was tweeting that out a couple of weeks ago. He is 275, so he's perfect tweener size. He was a total jackknife for the Georgia defense. He was playing with all first rounders constantly. Like Azeez Ojulari, second rounder. Jalen Carter going to be a first rounder. Adam Aronson, extremely talented before he left the team. Jordan Davis, whatever. They just got bodies on bodies of incredibly talented players. And so he just is not a super high sack guy, he's a super high productive guy, whatever. But he's athletic as all get out. And he is a versatile and experienced guy on an NFL style defense. So he's a mystery box because there's a chance you put this guy at actual defensive end at 5 tech, just let him rush the passer. And he's that double-digit sack guy that even Aidan Hutchinson and Kayvon Thibodeaux aren't. Like Thibodeaux, Hutchinson, they're good prospects. They're not double-digit sack guys. Walker might be that. But in any other class where there's actual stars, we ain't talking about Walker's first overall pick. We ain't talking about Walker's top 5 pick. We're all like, I'm going to be interested to see who gambles on him in the teens. But in this class, the mystery box actually holds some weight because there's a lot of known quantities in this draft, and they're not great known quantities. So Walker's seeing his stock skyrocket just because this guy could actually be something in a group of guys where it really doesn't feel that way about anybody else.
Well, I'm going to combine this with the next one because, DK, you have Seattle Seahawks taking Kayvon Thibodeaux, the edge out of Oregon. And I think this is kind of like sound mixing and sound editing. It's like every year someone explains the difference and I don't really get it. It never sticks. But so do you still feel that Thibodeaux is the better prospect than Travon Walker, but that the NFL doesn't see it that way because seemingly they don't like Kayvon Thibodeaux's personality, even though he was in the mix for number 1 even a few months ago?
Yeah, I think that's how it feels like right now. It feels like Thibodeaux is kind of sliding in the eyes of the NFL, or like that's sort of the intel that we're hearing is that the teams don't like Thibodeaux. And in fact, I even heard Daniel Jeremiah on a podcast the other day say he talked to somebody who's like, yeah, we don't like the Thibodeaux guy. We like Walker more. We like the Georgia guy more. That was just him giving an anecdote. But like, I think that's representative of probably what a good amount of teams probably feel about this. I still think Thibodeaux is a very good prospect, but he's, somewhat in the same vein in terms of like, there's tons and tons of potential there. But he has yet to sort of realize that potential. I think that physical potential that he has.
You're talking about Thibodeaux right now.
Thibodeaux, right. But I think Walker is more raw. He's more of an unknown because he doesn't have the experience as a pure edge rusher where he's lining up outside the tackle and just pinning his ears back and going. I think with both of these guys, you have a very solid floor. And like, again, Heifetz, I think you said this, or Ben, you said this, in any other season, we wouldn't be talking about these guys as like top 10 picks, probably. We'd talk about them in the teens. But both of these guys have very solid floors, I think, as run defenders. Like very good, solid. You can put them on the edge right away, and they're not going to like totally mess it up for you. They're good players. So they have that floor. What's their ceiling as a pass rusher? And I think with both those guys, there is a question mark about it. Some question marks about Kayvon Thibodeaux, his ability to bend. I know that that's kind of been something that has been a talking point in draft Twitter and some of the draft analysts now. Is like, does he have that elite bend? I think I've seen it at times, but then there is question marks about like whether he can like really get flat to the quarterback and like, you know what I mean? Like the Von Miller thing where you like almost horizontal to the ground and like turn into the pocket and get to the quarterback. Does he have that? I think that's something that scouts are questioning. And so with Travon Walker, it's a trait space thing. I don't know. Both of them are tough evals.
I have a question for Ben and DK. Heifetz has written about the idea of nature versus nurture, right? Like a quarterback's landing spot affects their career more than their actual skill does. Is that the same with like an edge rusher? Does it matter where Kayvon Thibodeaux or Travon Walker land in terms of how their career
matters for every position, every player at every draft slot?
But isn't a defensive end much more singular in terms of like you just rush the passer? It's not like a quarterback scheme. And
so not really. So right, like obviously people talk about 4-3 versus 3-4, right? And then every defensive coordinator in the world is like, actually, we're a multiple scheme. Like it doesn't matter. It's all the same. And that's just a load of bupkis. What you're going to have strong side and weak side defensive ends, right? You're like defensive pass rush specialists and coaches talk about rush lane integrity, right? So when you rush the passer, it's not 4 guys trying to get to the quarterback. It's 3 guys trying to make sure the quarterback can't get away from where the one guy is going to be rushing from, right? And so when you have a player like Walker, who's a 275, probably going to be around like 270 when he comes into the league, he's going to play like on the edge. That's going to be a base end for you. Like we talk about, 5 technique. That's playing on the outside shoulder of the tackle. That's rushing that outside rush lane. He's going to play at times, depending on where he goes, a 4 tech, where he's head up on the tackle. And now instead of attacking, we're going downfield, first step, explode, get upfield. We're talking about that first step's going to be a frog step, it's going to be a square step. We're going to maintain space. We're going to play with run defense at first in our mind. This is a lot of what, Brandon Staley, whoa, like, what's going on? A lot of what's changing is he's put such a premium on pass coverage that he asks his down defensive linemen to prioritize run defense above pass defense so that he can get an extra number in the box, or take an extra player out of the box, put him in pass coverage, and still stop the run with that -1 deficiency. So there's a variety of defensive line techniques. And then some defensive line coaches are just better than others, right? There are some guys who'd say like Matt Burke was in Philadelphia. The Eagles are my reference point. He recently came in as a defensive line coach under Jim Schwartz, and he took Josh Sweat and said, Josh, stop rushing with 7 different moves. He said, rush with a dip rip, rush with a side scissors, and occasionally with an inside spin. Like that's all you're going to do is 3 moves. Josh Sweat was a Pro Bowler last year because somebody had to sit down with Josh Sweat for however Josh thinks about the game or whatever Josh's skill set is and say, listen, you got to define a simple toolbox and then just athletically dominate guys because that's your skill set. You don't need to be working on, 2-hand cross chop Nick Bosa nonsense. Not you, right? And so there's like coaches are just different in different places. And places that put a premium on 4-man rushes, like where Jim Schwartz is the defense coordinator now with the Titans, right? They had an incredible 4-man rush this year. Those guys know how to get pass rushes out of their defensive ends better than other coaches do. So there's a schematic aspect to it, and then there's also a literal nurture aspect to it. What are the coaches like? What are the veterans like? So on and so forth.
I think to add to that, I think it's probably or potentially more pronounced with a quarterback because supporting cast and coaching is so important. But there also is with pass rushers, it does matter like who they're playing with too, right? Like if they're on a defensive line that has Aaron Donald, for instance, that helps the edge rusher because Aaron Donald is just creating freaking chaos on the inside, and he's not the guy that they're scheming for. So I think there's similarities at every position in terms of nature versus nurture. Landing spot matters, but I think it's very pronounced at quarterback, of course, because they just have the hardest job in the world, or in sports certainly.
Yeah.
So yeah.